everybody, it's Vanessa here from My Dyslexic Life. Today I'm going to talk about reading. Yep, I'm going to talk about reading and dyslexia. It might seem obvious, but maybe you'll learn something you didn't know about why reading is so difficult.
My Dyslexic Life is brought to you by Remarkable Minds and the Truth About Dyslexia course. Check them out at the link.
So if you've been watching my content for a while, you'll know that a lot of the time I talk about the hidden sides of adult dyslexia. I talk about the symptoms and the challenges that we have that people just don't know about. But today I'm actually going to talk about one of the challenges that is associated with being dyslexic, and that's challenges with reading. Now, I always thought I was a good reader. In fact, one of the reasons that I didn't know I was dyslexic for such a long time was because I could read, or I thought I could read. You see, when you're dyslexic, you actually think with your imagination. You actually use your imagination to process the world, to problem solve, and to take information in. So I was great at reading. I was great at reading novels or fiction or anything where I could create the movie in my mind of what I was reading. So I loved reading. I loved reading because my imagination was so vivid that I could create the words and create this movie in my head, and it felt like I was a part of the book. What I didn't realize is that is dyslexia. Being able to think with my imagination in that amount of detail is actually being dyslexic. But translate that into reading an email or reading a textbook or reading anything really where I can't create that kind of imaginary world in my head, where I just have to take the information in of what's in front of me. So, anything where I had to write a report, or where I had to, read an email, or I had to read textbooks, or I had to read a report, then I really struggled. And what would happen for me is, because I thought I could read, I would read the pages, my eyes would look at each word and I would recognize probably most of the words, and I would get down to the bottom of the page or the paragraph, but I would have absolutely no understanding of what I'd just read. So I would go back to the start and I would read it again. But that still didn't help me. It didn't give me any information. So maybe I would go and read it again, and maybe I would pick up a couple of words and I would kind of know what was going on. So I would just go on to the next paragraph. But the problem with this is I would keep reading, but I wouldn't be sure of what I'd read, or I might only understand about like 25 or 30% of it. I wouldn't actually understand everything. So that meant that reading was super tiring for me, really tiring. And for years, I just couldn't understand it, because I would read a novel at night when I was going to sleep and love it. And then the next day I would have to read a report, and it would be so damn difficult. It would feel like I was walking through treacle. And it really took so much of my concentration that it was exhausting. And I think that's the thing. Reading is really tiring for dyslexics. We have to put so much effort and concentration into reading that it is just exhausting. And that's the thing. Maybe you're dyslexic and you love reading about a topic you're interested in, or fiction, or magazines, because there'll be lots of pictures that you can reference. But reading something that doesn't have that rich visual language can be so difficult. And that really is because our brain processes information using our imagination. And to get the information that our imagination understands, it needs to be visual. It needs to create those pictures in our mind so that we can gain meaning from it. And this might be happening so fast, you're not even really aware of it. But I just wanted to share with you, my reading experiences really threw me for a long time. I really didn't think I could be dyslexic because I could read. But there's a difference between reading and imagining what you're reading and reading to actually get the information from the words on the page in front of you. So if this resonates with you, if you find that you can read some things really well, but other things you really struggle with, that's why. It's because of the way that your brain is processing the information. And, one little trick that I've learned over the years is to actually do little doodles to help me remember what I've read. It may sound strange and it may sound a little bit kind of childish, but trust me, it's not. If I need to remember something now, often I will make little doodles on a notepad or on the side of an email so that I can kind of capture those visual images in my mind. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's edition of My Dyslexic Life, and I'd love to hear from you, so please leave me some comments below. See ya!